Welcome to my tutorial for Super Mario Brothers for the NES. I know this is a game that most people from the 80s and 90s are probably very familiar with, but I try to put these videos out for players of all skill levels, ages, so that they can get some information, out of the video, and it may be helpful to some, or just a little bit entertaining to have some commentary with the videos. So yeah, I use the continue code, which is when you die, you hold A and just keep tapping start, and you'll start off at the beginning of the last world you got to. So you won't retain the section you got to. If you got to say where it says world 1-1, say you got to world 1-3 and then lost all your lives. If you use the continue code, you're of course going to start back at world 1-1. You don't even need to use the continue code if you didn't beat the first world, because all you got to do is press start and you're going to be there anyway. But just as an example, so if you got to say 4-3 and died 4-3, you would continue at 4-1. So the continue code does still set you back, a few stages, since each world ends when you get to the fourth section of the world. Each world ends with a castle level. So for this, it'll be 1-4 will be the castle level. Now, you're not going to see that because I'm going to be showing where the warps are to go straight to the final level, pretty much. You do have to beat a few levels, but you can get to the final stage pretty quick using this old warp trick, that most players are going to be familiar with, especially from that time period. If you didn't grow up with these games, then you would probably have no idea unless you watched videos about it or something like that. But I don't see a lot of tutorials for a lot of games, and some of those include really, older games that were popular. So once you get here, you're going to take the warp to 4-1, as you saw me do. Just follow what I did. And then once you get to 4-1, you're just going to run straight to the right and just keep jumping over all the obstacles. And if you keep running right, the Lakitu, the enemy in the cloud, will never be able to hit you with those spiky enemies. So just keep running to the right and you should be fine. It's very easy if you do that. Mushrooms make you big, obviously, as you probably know, and you can break bricks with your head when you're large, but not when you're small. So you got to get the mushroom to get large, and then you can just break through the bricks and get up in that ceiling area and run to the right on stage 1-2, as you saw me do, and get to that warp. So there's going to be another warp here. You don't want to run too fast because you'll miss it. But if you want, you can get that mushroom by hitting the opposing block to knock it back the other way. But here's where the warp is. So, if you run too fast, you'll go past it and you cannot scroll the screen backward. So you'll have to commit suicide if you want to get it. And if you go too far, you'll have to start the whole game over because it'll start you at a checkpoint. Or you'll have to at least start world 4-1 over, not the whole game. You can use the continue code and go back to 4-1. But it's a waste of time, so don't advance the screen too much. Then you just have to hit those invisible blocks, kind of edge the screen, edge on the blocks to hit those blocks and climb up the vine. And now this will take you to the final stage. Just go to where it says 8, and that is the final world. So this is the hardest part of the game, and this can take a lot of practice. This game did take me around, I think, 1 hour and 52 minutes or something like that. Now, I had beaten other versions of the game, like on Super Mario All-Stars, a compilation for Super Nintendo, and also the Game Boy, the Super Mario Brothers DX on Game Boy Color. I beat. Now, I wasn't sure if I beat the actual NES game on the NES, ROM or cartridge. I couldn't remember, and it was on my list of games beaten, but I couldn't really confirm it. I thought that maybe I beat it on Super Mario All Stars compilation, and then wrote it down as NES. I wasn't sure if it was actually the NES version, and I do like to keep my lists really accurate of games beaten. So this was one of the games I wanted to go back and legitimize since I was unsure. It was a very old entry. One of the first games I owned, even, After the Atari 2600, this was the system I got. And this was the first game I owned with it. It came with Track Meet, World Class Track Meet, and Duck Hunt on one cartridge. So I did use the continue code, as I mentioned, and I used the warps. So the continue code is debatable if it's legit. A lot of times these games will have continue codes in the manuals, like Altered Beast had it in the manual, I believe. And a lot of games have done stuff like that. So I don't remember if this one has it in the manual. But it is debatable since it does make you start at the beginning of the world. It seems kind of like you're supposed to use it. since you don't continue right where you left off. So yeah, for this part, you kind of want to wait. And when you have a chance, you want to go up those steps and get past that Lakitu and then just kill him when you get to the top. You can jump on him. Now, to get this one up, you don't want to advance the screen too quickly. If you do, you will... the one up will just disappear. It won't follow you. So you have to advance the screen at a slower pace. Now, of course, you hold B to run, A to jump. And, of course, the controls are going to be familiar to almost anyone because... this is like the king of platformers, the game that kind of started it all, that was imitated for years and years, and even to this day it's imitated. So most people are familiar with these mechanics now, but when this game came out, this was new. I mean, no game had ever done a platformer that played this well, and that really had like new worlds you could explore instead of just a single screen that would loop again and again like old arcade games. This was really something fresh at the time. Now, there's a 1-up. You saw me get the 1-up that I just mentioned. You can keep getting that 1-up every time you die. So, basically, as long as you get good at that little beginning part in this world, 8-2, you can keep getting the 1-up and stay alive, even if you die a lot in the level. Now, this is the hardest level in the game. So, for this, you're going to want to have speed a lot of times so you can run and jump over the Hammer Brothers fully so that their hammers are not even in range. You want to jump over the arc and distance of their hammers as well, just in case they throw them out. So you want to jump over the entire Hammer Brother and all the hammer range. So you really want to get a high jump over those Hammer Brothers. That's the idea. Now, a lot of times the shell glitches through these guys and doesn't hit them the first time. It's definitely a glitch, but I got lucky there and the shell came back and took out that asshole, so I got him out of the way. Now, don't rush in these parts, unless you're really familiar with the game, obviously, but if you can, try to get a running start off of this pipe and then jump and go over the Hammer Brother and all of his range that he has with his hammer so he can't hit you, basically. So you get a good jump. You're not completely safe, but it's a good way to do it. Also, when you stand on top of those pipes, the piranha plant can't come out and bite you when you're on top of the pipe. But if it's already out and you jump on the pipe, you will die or take damage. But that's the basic idea. You want to have enough speed to be able to go over the Hammer Brother and, any range they might have with the hammer. You just want to fly real high above them. Now, for this stage, this is the final stage. You have to take these pipes in a very specific order. So you're going to want to go through the pipes in the exact order you see me do it. So after this lava, you want to go down this first pipe. And now you're going to keep going until you see a pipe that's suspended in the air. And then you're going to break some invisible blocks to get up there, go in that pipe. Make sure you take care of these turtles first because they can really get in the way. You can easily hit your head on the invisible block and get killed by the turtle because you won't see the block. So it's good to kill them first or get them out of the way. So now after you come through this pipe, you're going to go across this little lava right here. Once you get across this lava with these little flying fish, now you're in that's the last pipe that you needed to take. So now you got a little bit of a water level where you tap, I believe, B to swim. And you want to mash it sometimes when you're at the top and try to kind of speed through so that the guys don't have a chance to get to you. It helps to do that. But if they are too close to the top, then you may have to be careful about going all the way up. You have to kind of just watch what they're doing. You obviously want to avoid those spinning flame pillar things. Now this guy can be tricky, and there's a fireball right after this guy, so it's a tricky maneuver. But after you jump over him, you want to wait for your opening, and hopefully you can do it all in one movement like that and jump and then go through, underneath the fireball. Then you have to kind of wait around. The best way usually to get past Bowser, especially in this level, is to wait for him to do a little bit of a jump and have your run ready so you can run right under his legs. It does take some practice and getting used to, and I think I got kind of lucky too that he didn't do any weird patterns, so it wasn't too bad. But that's the basic idea. So if you have any questions, let me know.